Hi, this is Shilpa here. Now in this tutorial, I'm going to share with you a very valuable trick which is going to enhance your repertorization technique and make it much more efficient. So if you ask most repertorization experts, they will discourage you from dumping all rubrics within your patient in one single repertorial sheet. So as you would know, in HomeoQuest we have the capacity to have as many repertorization sheets as you would like to have. Now, the way what happens when you dump everything in one sheet is that you have only the polycrests that are going to emerge in the final totality, and it would leave some of the less well known but well indicated remedies hidden somewhere in the mesh of the repertorial grid. Now, to prevent this, it's always a good idea to collect groups of related rubrics in different sheets and then look at the combinations that arise. Now, generally in my practice, what works for me the best is I generally separate the mental rubrics from the physical rubrics, or I could separate the acute totality from the chronic totality. Or in many of my cases, I generally use two different approaches. So I would use the Kentian approach in one set of repertorial sheet and the Bonninghausen concept in another sheet, and so on and so forth. So I make multiple totalities. Now in the HomeoQuest 2013, we have a wonderful new feature which actually helps you fine tune these sheets and get the best out of them. So I'll give you an example. Now this is a case of a girl with fever who came to the clinic during the acute episode of fever. Now this girl was known to the homeopath even before, and she was constitutionally on a particular remedy, and then this fever came up. And so what's happening here is I've created 4 different totalities here. So in the first sheet, I have the mental rubrics during fever. Now I'll just enlarge this a bit, and you could see fear, death of, dreams of ghosts, and company desire for. In the second one, I have the fever rubrics, the physicals themselves. So I have night aggravates, which is when the fever came up, the redness of the face, and the desire for lemonade. Now in the third board, I have the chronic mental state. So this is the mental state of this girl who is a teenager, and which is before or in between the fever period. So the fever could be considered as an acute exacerbation of a chronic state, and this could be like the baseline chronic mental state, which is, so the most peculiar rubrics here are dullness, introversion, stupefaction, and easily startled. And in the fourth sheet, I have the physical generals, which is again a part of the chronic underlying state, which is not related to the fever. So nausea in the morning on waking up, profuse menses, thirstlessness, and perspiration with cold hands, especially the palms. Now, if you put them all together, then this is what you would get. So I'm using a multi-sheet repertorization feature in the new HomeoQuest. And if you click on this, what happens is, this is what would have happened if we had put everything together in one. Now, if you see, there are quite a few other remedies which come up here. And most of them, something or the other is missing in some of them. So none of the remedies actually covering the whole case. So what we could do here is, you have an option now to actually look at different sheets in combination. So say for example, I'm now just considering this girl in the fever state. So I remove the chronic mental state and I remove the physical generals by just clicking on the box. So what we have here are the combination of rubrics from the mental rubrics during fever and the physical rubrics during fever. And the remedies that come up are belladonna. So I'll take the remedies which cover all the symptoms here, and we have belladonna, pulsatilla, lachesis, and nitric acid. Now, this was a case which did very well on pulsatilla in the acute state. Now, if you remove this and just look at a chronic state, you have a complete different picture here. So you have the remedy conium, sulfur, chamomilla, natramure, ignatia. So if you consider conium is the one which covers most of the rubrics, and this girl actually did quite well at a baseline level on conium. So in this case, if you realize you have a complete different state during the acute and the chronic, and it just made such a lot of sense to put them together, put them separately, fine-tune them, look at different ways of how you could combine different totalities and come up with different sets of remedies which worked very well together and took this case to conclusion. So hope this helps you understand how you could be using these 4 or 5 different sheets or multiple sheets and make different combinations in your patients and get the best out of repertorization here. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me, shilpa@homeoquest.com, shilpa@homeoquest.com. Thank you very much, and I'll speak with you in the next tutorial. Bye-bye.